Whiskey, Wine, and Wellness, episode 11. Back in the lab with Pat Charette. Happy to see you. Happy to see you. Only one choice of drink today, so here's your Woodford Reserve, sir.
Well, you don't need wine.
Nope, only because I didn't have any red at the house, and I'm not bringing white wine.
We're going to change it soon to Whiskey Wellness.
Last time we went only wine, I think.
Only red blends.
Yeah, only red blends from Fork and Hill. Ready?
You took that cap off real smooth. That's good.
You know.
7 a.m.
It's barely the PM. So today we're talking about fitness data. So a lot of wearables is like a common thing for people to kind of gather fitness data, whether it be, Whoop. I have a Whoop and a Garmin. You have?
Apple Watch.
Whoop. So I guess for you as a coach or fitness pro, whatever you want to say,
Sure.
What data do you find valuable most for yourself? And then subsequently, what do you find that's useful for your clients, if any?
Yeah. So for myself, Whoop's kind of new, right? So It's kind of everything. Like I never really tracked sleep before.
Yep.
It's usually like Apple Watch sleep tracker kind of sucks because it's dead. Like if I wore my Apple Watch to bed and woke up and I couldn't wear it the next part of the day, I didn't even let that sit.
It's cold already, trust me.
And then, so the sleep factor is new, the heart rate variability is real new. Like I don't know a lot about that. We're both trying to figure out what the hell that means.
Yep.
And
I did research for this.
I did a little bit. I did a little bit this morning.
Dangerous, enough to be dangerous.
And then obviously it leads to a recovery factor, respiratory rate, resting heart rate while you sleep. So all that stuff's new and super beneficial, I think. But what I've always tried to pay attention to is what sparks heart rate during exercise.
Okay,
so focus on exercise. What sparks heart rate for me? That's how everything reads calorie burn. And that's super beneficial for a customer because a lot of time a customer doesn't really know where their heart rate is. Like if you have a conversation with them, it's a lot of I don't knows. And I think like most of the time, a lot of wearables didn't do a good job. Like how many times have you looked at your, I don't know about Garmin because I'm sure they're money on it, but Apple Watch for a long time, like you would look at it and it'd just be spinning during your workout. And you'd be like, damn.
really?
Yeah, for sure. And like the one thing I learned is you have to get it, has to get low and stay on. You can't have space.
That is one thing I like about this. It rarely ever is not on point.
Yeah,
like
for
it's
sure.
very consistent. Like I play basketball in it, it'll get knocked around, put it back on, it's good to go. It's like real quick.
I do like about the Whoop, it gives you your ranges. It gives you like zones.
Yeah.
It kind of reads the data. And I think that's the one thing, like look how basic this thing is, right?
Yeah.
It's so simple. But the data on it, the service, the system that they use where you read it on your whatever iPad or your phone, I mean, it gives you, it doesn't miss like you said, and it breaks it down into the zones because it's always learning. I think that's the one cool thing.
Yeah, I think it does do a good job of like that first month is kind of a crapshoot because it hasn't calibrated to you. That's the word I was looking for, calibrate. But that
Calibrate.
it's 3 syllables. So that's very useful because I think the ranges, all the data is so what's the word I'm looking for? It's unique to each person. Like your HRV, heart rate variability. So heart rate variability is the time between each heartbeat and whether it's the same amount. So it's not necessarily supposed to be 1 second between each one. It's right.
Got it.
I'm learning the people.
Got it.
You're welcome for all this hard-hitting fitness knowledge. So the idea with heart rate variability is that the more variable it is, the more able your body is to bounce between sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. So able to adjust to stress and then jump back out of fight or flight quickly. So you can adjust better. So higher heart rate variability is good. Lower heart variability is not necessarily great. But yours is significantly higher than mine. Mine sits in like the 30s.
So the one thing that I've listened to from the Whoop podcasts.
I did not know they had a podcast.
Yep.
Shout out Whoop Podcast.
So like the one thing I've learned is like obviously they're super smart. They did all this data, they did all this testing. Is they keep saying don't compare your HRV to somebody else's. One of the worst things you can do is like two athletes on a team comparing theirs.
Yep.
Like you want to find your zone because it's individualized and then stay in that zone. But being so high every day isn't always good either, because you're not challenging your system to bounce back.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that makes sense because we do that all the time from a muscular standpoint.
Yep. I think that's probably maybe like the first takeaway from data is that it's unique to you, and your improvements are the thing that really matters, not what it compares to the other person. The thing that's weird about Whoop too is because they do have to give you some kind of range of what's normal. Because if you woke up every day and you're like, my heart variability is 5,
Yeah.
like there's a problem probably. So have you seen that graph that they have? It's like a swooping, like it does decrease with age.
Yeah, for sure. I think that is like everything does, but
Happiness generally. Yeah.
HRV does the most drastically.
Yeah.
Most drastic.
So, but that freaks me out too because I'm below what that zone is too. So I'm like, what do I need to do to change that? And it can be pretty consuming. Like, should I just not have fun and go to bed every day real early and never drink again? And,
right.
You know,
Alcohol is like the thing that messes it up.
Yeah. I just had this conversation with my last client I was working with. We were talking about data, and he was like, we were talking about how alcohol messes with your sleep, and I was like, I'm a huge proponent of day drinking. If you're gonna drink, day drink. You can get it out of your system.
Yeah.
He's like, that's one of the best statements.
They said 6 hours before you go to bed.
Yep. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So I was like, I gotta finish up soon. It's like, it's almost 2.
You have to start in the morning.
Right. Small amount. So would you, I guess it'd be hard for a client to have HRV without a specific wearable. So I guess heart rate, you said, matters a lot
Heart
for
rate,
you.
yeah, especially during exercise. Because I want to know those ranges, right? I want to know how high I can get it. Because obviously you have the basic 220 minus your age for your max heart rate.
Yep.
But I also want to know, like, can I get it over that? Because that's just like a baseline.
Mm-hmm.
But can I get it over that? Can I get close to that? What does it feel like? What's that perceived effort feel like at 181?
Yeah.
And also, like, I think it's good to figure out how long, from an athletic standpoint, from a fitness enthusiast standpoint, how long does it take for your body to go from 150 to 110?
Yeah, recovery.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And can you do, as you progress, can you do the same workout and keep your heart rate lower so it's not as stressful for your body? That's how you know, like, you're able to progress then.
I'm
that point.
very, very new to running, but it's one thing I spent like a month on was running distances for me. So anywhere from 3 to 7 miles, not a ton.
Or 13.
Or 13, but running those distances and running it not based on pace, not based on time, just based on I have to keep my heart rate below this.
Yeah.
Super
So
interesting.
you just keep it up the whole time? Like your heart rate, you just watch it live the whole time?
I have the Apple Watch, so that helps.
Do you monitor it the entire time constantly?
Yeah, look.
Because I try and, like, when I'm running, I'm trying to, like, space. Like, I'm trying to not pay attention to what
I think there's
the
a time.
discomfort, I guess.
Yeah, and I think there's a time and place for both.
Yeah.
That's why, like, for a month, only a month or so, and now I just throw it in randomly, but, like, try to figure out what it feels like to run at 136 3 miles in a row, and then what's that pace? You know, so if that took me 9:30 to run 3 miles at heart rate lower than 140 the entire time, and that was a 9-minute and 30-second pace, how long is it going to take? Is it going to take 3 months or 6 months to run those same 3 miles at a 120 pace, 120 heart rate, but keep the same 9 minutes and 30-second pace?
I mean, that's like the most pure way to, like, you know, you've progressed physically. It's less hard on your body.
Yeah, exactly. And I just watch other people do it. Like, I'm not a professional at it. I'm so new to that game, but just watching other people do it and other people coach it just helps me figure out new ways to go about running.
Yeah.
Treat it as like a workout. Am I going to do 15 reps that day, or am I going to do 8 reps that day? It's the same thing if I'm running on the treadmill or running outside.
For me, it seems like heart rate is the same way people think about, like, calories in, calories out is the diet metric.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's like the simplest. It seems like heart rate is that for exercise, like for calorie burning. Either your heart rate was high or your heart rate was not, and that's like the most direct correlation to how many calories you burn.
Yeah.
It's probably about the most pure. If you can measure 2 things
Absolutely.
for weight loss, you probably measure, like, how long did you keep your heart rate in X zone, and what's your calorie balance. Those probably be like your only 2 metrics. You could probably really make a lot of hay with just those 2.
Definitely.
What about sleep? Has that changed? Like, because the Whoop goes pretty hard on sleep.
It's a big thing on sleep.
You're not necessarily the.
I'm not good at sleep.
No, you're always like 5:45 to 6 hours. It seems like.
Yeah. So
we share. We have a group so we can see each other's data. We don't text about it.
yeah. So for a long time when we worked together, several years ago now,
it's crazy.
I would crush 4 hours and 30 minutes of sleep. That's it. 4 hours, 30 minutes of sleep. Like I felt like trash around 2. All that different stuff.
Energy drink. Plow through.
So much caffeine, pre-workout, you name it.
Yep.
And now I've tried really hard to go 5 hours and 45 minutes of sleep. And then even one more where if I'm getting up at 4 a.m., which is 75% of the time, I gotta try to be asleep and get 6 hours. I gotta try to be asleep and get to bed around 10,
Yep.
which is difficult when you work till 7.
Yeah.
Because then you get home at 7:15, 7:20, 7:30, dinner, family, dogs. I mean,
Snaps. That 3 hours goes real fast.
real fast.
Yeah.
And so the more time I can put in to get 6 hours, 6 hours and 15 is real sweet spot. And I like Whoop that it measures time in bed and time sleeping. So there's you're not being fooled.
Yep.
And then, so yeah, I try really hard on that, but there's 2 days a week where I can sneak in, and I was just listening to Ben Greenfield
Love Ben Greenfield.
about how to take a power nap and reset for the second half of your day, and that will carry over to the next day, and then obviously if you're doing something week after week after week, that'll carry over and create like a solid month. But that 20 to 40 minutes nap that I can get on 2 days a week just changes everything. And it requires less sleep than at night. So then that's how I'm going to get into the green for recovery on Whoop. That's how I'm going to get into the green more and a higher green level.
When you first started Whoop, were your numbers just trash, like horrible trash, or did you adapt pretty quick?
I adapted pretty quickly because I was already putting in, when we talked last, like 7 or 8 months of running.
Mm-hmm.
So I was already doing cardiovascular training.
It's a lot of strain. Your strain numbers probably would have been really high.
Especially in the beginning because I went from doing none to a bunch.
Yeah.
But I think that preparation allowed me to rebound.
Yeah.
I got a lot of yellows and reds right out of the gate, and then,
What's your worst?
in the 20s, 29, 27. I've never hit 3.
I had a 3. We had a long day that day.
Yeah, no kidding. The red wine got you.
Yep. And all your tortilla chips that I ate. Ate your whole bag of tortilla chips, probably.
Oh, yeah. But, yeah, a lot of yellows out of the gate, and I think that's the one thing, like, you and I who take our fitness pretty seriously, it's a kick to the gut to be like, hey, I'm not as good as I think I would have been. And that's why data is so important, because you don't really know. It's the same thing if you're trying to lose weight and you're like, yeah, I think I eat pretty well. Do you though?
Then
like,
you track your calories.
How much fat, how much protein, how much carbs, like you don't really know until you see something that scores it.
Yeah. So I guess even like to flip on the dark side of that, what's the downside of data? Because it's not all, rainbows and sunshine.
Yeah. Just being addicted to it.
Yep.
And just trying to adjust and not doing the things you normally would, or doing like actual social things because you're like, okay, I need that green number in the morning, man. You know, just being addicted to that.
Live your life unemotionally, like just trying to drive data.
Yep.
Yeah,
for sure. I've had a few discussions about that because I was trying to get to bed quicker. So if I was trying to go to bed quicker, then I was either trying to speed a couple things up and maybe not do them as well, or I was trying to eliminate things that I really couldn't eliminate from that time finishing work and then going home. It just didn't work. Doesn't work.
I think you also did a good job of talking, because you're really open about your data.
Yep.
And then also, even when the data doesn't line up, like your red or yellow recovery, and you're like, but today is a day where I scheduled the workout, so I'm going to do it anyways.
For sure.
Because sometimes, it is what it is, and you got to deal with the consequences of the decisions you made before. Like, after today, like, have a couple of drinks, your recovery might not be super great tomorrow.
Yeah, so I was 39 last night. Yeah, I was 39% recovered last night, which is still in the yellow, because their range, I think, is 33 to 66.
Yeah, it's thirds.
It's, okay.
Yep.
So I was in the yellow, and I had what, 3-4 whiskeys and a beer last night. So I had enough sleep, but it wasn't efficient sleep. And then today, like, I mean, I'll probably have a couple of drinks. I see this as being addicted to data. Like, I'm gonna count my drinks now, whether that's good or bad. I mean,
for the questionnaire in the morning.
Not even for that, just so I can have a high, like, I don't expect to be green tomorrow, but I expect to have a higher yellow tomorrow.
Yeah.
I don't expect to go down because I'll still be able to get the adequate amount of sleep with it not being a work day. So I don't have to be up at 4.
Yep.
And then we'll bring in the strain number. I listen to the strain coach as much as possible. Very rare occasion do I go into that overreaching number. I try to be right where that little white line is in that range.
Mine's not calibrated yet, so I haven't been able to use that yet.
Yeah, so I have that, so I try to live right there. And that's why I was able to hit that 96 that day, was because I was so
Huge.
far under.
So high if you hit 96. It's the best feeling.
It's a good day. You feel like $1 million.
Yep. Even if you actually wouldn't have felt good, you see that and you're like, it's proof that you should feel good.
And it's like, now today you can strain up to 16.
Go hard.
Then I was
super
like,
hard.
So then you hit a 12 and you're like, that's pretty good.
It's time to go for round 2.
Yeah, so, but I live in that strain coach. I wish I could live more in the sleep coach, but I live in that strain coach for sure.
So how do you decide when you have X recovery? I guess, I mean, the strain coach might be the answer, but like, how do you decide to say like, I mean, for lack of a better way to say it, fuck it, and I'm going hard anyways? Because there are those times.
It just depends on what's scheduled that day.
So it's predetermined?
It just depends on what's scheduled for me, like what I want to do for exercise that day.
Okay.
Meaning where, like, it just becomes like a normal person thing, right? So like a work balance of how much time do I have to exercise. Is today going to be a strength training day? Since the Whoop specifically is, it measures everything cardiovascularly. You know, maybe it's just a 25-minute strength training day where I'm gonna burn 200 calories, 250 calories in that 30 minutes, and you know, the rest of my strain is gonna come from, you know, being on my feet working those the rest of that day.
Yeah, I do get, like, by default, I'll get to like a 6 by not doing anything, just from existing and living life.
Yep, it's really interesting to go back and look at those days and be like, okay, I trained this many people today. I did no exercise, but my strain number is still, you know, almost a 10.
Yeah.
Because you start off pretty much at a 4. Well, we do, based on your recovery the night before. So you're not starting from 0.
Right.
And that's what people think, that the next day, I think that's what people think, is the next day they start from 0 again, where you're still recovering from the day prior.
The craziest thing for me has been realizing how many calories I actually need to take in, because I'll wake up. So if it's a day I play basketball, by the time I get home from basketball, it's like 7:30, 7:45, and I'm already 2,000 calories deep. And I've had like a banana before basketball, and that's it. And that, I mean, that, you're playing catch up all day. Like, I mean, it might seem like to the average person, oh, you get more calories to eat, but if you're eating like not shitty food, 2,000 calories behind is a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, that's 3 meals behind.
It's a ton of food if it's like chicken, rice, and, you know,
veggie,
avocado, guacamole to get some fat.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you said, it is 2 or 3 meals. It's a lot. And I think the one thing that, again, data is everything. If you're really looking to be consistent and actually track, you know, day after day after day, the one thing the Whoop does that I never really thought about was how many calories do you burn when you sleep? Because there's, you know, obviously, you know, you have that resting metabolic rate and everything, how many calories you're burning, and you know, we know about that, but you're burning calories while you sleep, so you're already in a deficit when you start. If you're trying to, I think that would be the most beneficial thing from somebody who is primarily a strength trainer, who does like bodybuilding stuff or fitness shows, is that when they're counting their calories or counting their food, whether they have to be in a surplus or a deficit, I mean, you wake up and, I mean, we burn anywhere from 450 to 650 while we sleep. And I mean, those are those extra calories that you might need to either grow or shrink.
They matter.
Yeah.
I'm like pretty much right at about 100 calories an hour if I don't do anything.
Real detailed.
Seriously. Well, because I wake up and it's from midnight to whenever I wake up.
Yeah.
So if I wake up at 5,
Yeah.
it's pretty much right at like 500 calories.
Sure.
So, and then I can just add exercise onto that. So, I mean, if I stay right around like 3,000 calories in a day, I'm like net even. And that's a lot of calories, again, if you eat good food in some capacity.
So do you count your food while you eat? Do you count what you eat?
I don't. So my biggest thing is I need to eat consistently at times.
Okay.
Because my biggest issue becomes when my blood sugar drops. I'm really sensitive to that. So like if I don't eat for like 6 hours or I work out empty stomach, like that'll wreck me, and it's hard for me to come back from that the rest of the day. I'm just like in a fog, like super fog. So I'm okay to be in a big calorie deficit consistently, but not like with big like peaks and valleys in blood sugar. That really fucks me up.
Yeah. I mean, you've seen me. I literally wrote down everything and estimated it because it's pretty easy to guess when you've done it for X amount of time. But I don't do that. I haven't done that in, close to a year.
You know now, though.
Right. But the one thing I do count every single day, because I know I'm going to get enough protein, whether it's 150 or 200, that's enough.
Yep.
I try to eat carb-based meals because of the calories I'm going to burn.
Yeah.
And I am not a carb monster. We've had this conversation before.
Yep.
But the one thing I do count is I can be a fat monster. I can eat a ton of cashews or almonds. I can eat a ton of guacamole, avocado, or fat-based salad dressing with egg on it. And
I'll get like meat snacks.
Yep.
Fat bomb. Like salami. Eat like a whole thing of salami.
Like, I could crush those. But I count my fat, and I try to stay at 70 grams of fat for most days.
Okay.
I get to 100 real fast.
What about, how many calories do you get a day?
No idea.
Roughly? Really?
No idea. I had to count it out real quick. So if I do 70, this is the only time I'm good at math. If I do 70 grams of fat, that's what?
630.
Yep. Okay, so say 600 calories right there. If I do 200 protein, you're looking at
800.
Boom. So there's your 14. And then carbs are tough for me. Say 300 carbs. And the way I get to 300 carbs is I drink carbs pre, during, and post. Whether I have like a carb powder during my workout, so that's going to be 50 grams of carbs right there. Whether I start sipping on that pre-workout, and then post-workout, I try to smash a bunch of carbs as well. But say it's 300, so that's another 12. So I'm only looking at, 26?
Yeah.
That's not enough.
No, probably not.
And that's
You're
why
not that far off though, because you weigh what 75?
170.
170.
Yeah. Last night I came home and I was at 169. This morning I woke up.
Dehydrated.
Yeah, for sure, probably. This morning I woke up after I had 2 pieces of toast, a protein shake, and was 171.4. But yeah, like I live right there in that 170 to 173 range.
And that's actually that's the other thing I was going to bring up. And that's like the forgot about fitness data. Like if you weigh yourself, you do this, weigh yourself every day is a fantastic metric to have. It's just not fun for people because it's like, if you're not where you want to be, it's like getting your face rubbed in it every day.
Yeah.
But to see the consequences of what you've done the previous day,
and
positively
exactly
or negatively,
that's
super beneficial. That would be like if I only got one piece of data, what you weigh is probably like the best. I would think. For me, I guess. Like, because it's so.
I don't know if I have an answer to it, but it would definitely be extremely beneficial because you could just see what food and water does to you.
Right. Because at the end of the day, the rest of them are. Most people are manipulating weight, I guess, or performance, but those roll up to that. That's like the scoreboard, and then the rest of it's like, shooting percentage or yardage, whatever sport you want to compare it to. Like those roll up to winning and losing on the scoreboard.
Yeah. But you get to see how your body reacts to certain things. Yeah. We have, hydration's easy. Look at your pee.
Yep.
And then,
what frequency of pee again?
Yep. And then from a food standpoint, just see how you feel. So many people don't realize that going off feel, like if you ate a bunch of white rice or something, like, oh, this is healthy, but I feel like crap afterwards. Or they had a bunch of brown rice, so much heavier in your
I
body.
hate brown rice.
I
Always feel terrible.
I
after brown
just
rice.
started switching back, so like if I go to Chipotle, I'll get brown rice.
I do only white rice.
I've done only white rice forever because of you. I probably.
Easy digestion.
But if you go in my fridge, we don't make brown rice at the house.
Right.
Yeah, so I try to flip flop back and forth. I get the whole fiber thing, but you get fiber from other avenues of food.
If you're eating rice for the fiber content, you're probably missing the boat there.
Probably.
So how do you use this from a professional perspective? Like, how much do you pursue getting data points from clients as opposed to the possible fear of like overwhelming them with too much data?
You just kind of pick one thing and do that. Kind of like I pick the one fat macronutrient to count.
Do you do that with clients too?
Yeah, so on the Apple Watch, I have several customers loaded in. So like when they complete a workout, it'll give me an update and I can respond or whatever. And I think just giving them the smaller accountabilities of, hey, my goal's to stand. As stupid as that sounds, people need that.
Yeah.
And then picking how many calories do you want to burn that day? I think all those things, those little accountability factors, and the fact that I can see them, because like I have 2 customers that are pretty religious with it, and I will text them and be like, hey, you're 20 calories, and it's 8 o'clock at night, as we have a good relationship. It's been 2 or 3 years.
Yep.
Hey, it's 20. You're 20 calories away from your 500 goal or your 700 goal. Don't miss it. Ha 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 ha. And like they'll literally walk up and down the stairs, or they'll literally go for whatever, a 10-minute walk, 5-minute walk.
Yep.
They'll go walk their dog, whatever works for them. I've had some people, do jumping jacks in the room just to get those extra calories, just because they want to hit that. So that works for them.
That's good feedback.
But those little things we can talk about here, and we'll talk about all these numbers, and we have already. We can handle those things. I don't feel overwhelmed by that.
Yeah.
But us talking about that, I can only imagine, people who don't like to work out, they're just like, oh, jeez, these people are freaks.
Yeah.
Pat and Adam are freaks. They love this. But picking the smaller things. And when those small things, if they do become, more natural, then you can add one more or grow to the next level of actually more data. And they don't even have to do it, we do. That's the point of having a fitness professional. They don't have to really worry about it, then we take that on. That's what we're here for.
It's just like, I just always feel like it gives attention. Like you're paying attention. The metric is like a means of paying attention to things that matter. Like it helps you to make better decisions. Like if you, like you said, at 8 o'clock at night, and they're like, oh, well, I'm gonna go do 20 jumping jacks. That seems like nothing. It's not those 20 calories that really matter. It's that maybe you did that and then you didn't go eat something else after too, because you're paying attention and making decisions based on health, not this impulsive eating decision or something.
For sure.
I think that's relevant.
Yes.
So maybe we've already touched on this a little bit. So how do you balance it between not let it consume your life versus it does matter and I should change some activities or behaviors to improve my data? Because it's a very fine line. Because for me, I want to get, like, I will go to bed earlier and punt on going to do something fun, which, sometimes is good, but, how are you do you want to get to the end of your life and be like, well, I was green forever, but I didn't do a damn thing with my whole life.
Sure. Well, I've always used, and this isn't anything new or revolutionary, but I've always used the 80-20 rule, right? I say it all the time during sessions because people are searching for form, say deadlift form. They're like, is that an A? We're getting there, but we're only looking to get a B. That's it, we just need 80-20, that's all it is. And I use those phrases all the time with people because it's not gonna be perfect every time, and the huge difference from a B to an A isn't going to, from a form standpoint, or even all these numbers, it's not going to be that big of a difference. But not doing it, or a D, not paying attention to it, to a B, that's where you're going to see a huge jump. It's, as long as 80% of the time you're doing it the right way, you're going to be okay. For me personally, I would probably do the same thing as you. I basically will make those adjustments to do all that because that's what I enjoy.
Yeah.
And then I stop whenever my wife yells at me.
I probably do it like through the week, Monday through Friday.
Definitely
Lock it in.
Monday through Friday.
Lock it in. Like, I shouldn't have plans. I don't really have plans to do stuff past 8 o'clock on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, anyways. Because I'm like you. Monday through Thursday for sure. I'm up by 4:30 at the latest.
Yep.
So getting to bed late is not really an option if I'm gonna be able to. Like, cause you got to come with the juice for your clients. Like, if you're dragging ass at 5:30,
They feel that.
100%, and they should. Special clients come in at 5:30. Like, that's a special person.
For sure.
So, but the weekends, I get to sleep in. So, if I want to stay out till midnight, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't really stress.
From a sleep standpoint, that works, but what you're doing up until midnight, that will mess around with those numbers for sure.
100%.
Because you're not being a good boy till midnight.
No.
You're not
I'm at your house playing Mario Kart.
You're not eating. You're not eating the right foods till midnight. You're not drinking till midnight.
Yep.
Like, you're doing all those things that mess with that. So,
and I think that has value too. Like, I do believe a lot in. I think your health. Like, if you have good relationships and you actually have fun, your health will be better to a certain point. Like, if you were green every time but had no friends and didn't do anything social, you'd still be miserable.
and nobody to tell about it.
Right. Instagram will know. But no, I think there's value to. And fortunately, that 5 days out of 7 is like right at that 80-20 too. You get like 2 fuck off days basically. It's probably a little bit under 80%. I'm not a math major, but you know.
A lot of F-bombs out of you today.
Yeah, I don't care. Whatever.
Woodford.
What's Lifetime gonna do?
Woodford.
So what else on data? What else do you think is important on this?
We talked about calories burned, right? We talked about sleep. I guess Whoop made some headway and they made some pretty good adjustments by measuring respiratory rate. There's not a lot of things that do that. I don't really know.
I don't use that a lot.
I just use it for a consistency factor, and they use it and promoted it during coronavirus, meaning like your body's fighting off an illness or a virus. If your respiratory rate jumps, a drastic amount, usually over 1.0.
What's your number roughly on respiratory rate?
Like 13.2. I got
mid-14s.
Again, yeah, and it's just sticking consistent.
Just mouth breathing heavily.
Exactly. But when you jump over that 1.0, then they say
something's going down.
Yeah, everybody's trying to fight off a potential virus. And since I've had Whoop, I think it was the first 2 days I had it, I actually got sick. My body was fighting something off. I had food poisoning for some turkey that we got.
Shit.
And my respiratory rate jumped up.
Whoa.
And like my head hurt, my body hurt, I needed to sleep, I just didn't feel right. And I've gotten food poisoning before and it was the exact same feeling. But yeah, it took 1.5 to 2 days, because if you take a nap on Whoop, you can punch that in and it will still give you the same data as if you were sleeping. It's just recorded as a nap instead of sleep.
Do you log a nap or is it just logged for you?
I log everything just in case. Control freak. I'm not gonna leave it up to chance.
That's exactly why we had this conversation on data.
Yeah. But yeah, that's how I usually, there's 2 days a week where I'm at like 12.8, 12.6, and then most of the time 13.2, 13.3 is kind of that normal range for me. And then days that I drink, I'll get up to 13.7, 13.8.
I wonder why drinking affects respiratory. Is it a stress metric? Is it like a stress on the system?
Just alcohol hates humans.
But we've evolved with it forever. That's why I don't get, like, when people say alcohol's unhealthy, like in mass quantities.
It's legal.
Yeah, but even when like people have drank alcohol
no doubt.
forever.
Yeah.
Forever.
But it just
got to be designed to handle it in some capacity.
It's got to mess with that, because it's got to find a way to mess with whatever sympathetic or parasympathetic or autonomic nervous system. Who knows?
3 different nervous systems.
Yeah, I think I read it in a book once, according to NASM. But that's how I focus that, because when you look at that graph, there's like a little bar, so it gives you your whole graph, And then there's a bar for that range that they want you to keep respiratory rate in.
Okay. I don't really look at respiratory rate ever.
I've only looked at it because of sickness.
Yeah.
And you'll breathe more, you'll have a higher respiratory rate if you're tired and fatigued.
I wish I would have had a whoop when I had COVID,
Mm-hmm.
so I could see if it really did mess with respiratory rate. That would have been cool data to have.
So I'm gonna jump the gun here.
Okay.
That Aura ring.
Yep.
I know somebody who had the Aura ring when they had COVID,
Really?
and their respiratory rate was like 3 to 4 points higher than normal,
Wow.
which is a huge amount.
Yeah.
And it took 11 days for it to get back down. They felt fine
Mhm.
after 4 or 5 days or whatever, but it just took a while for it to get back down.
I wish Whoop had a pulse ox too, because that would be useful.
Well,
Apple Watch
Your
does.
Apple Watch will, or
and
does.
Oura Ring does too.
Does it?
Mm-hmm.
A new Apple Watch does. I know that. I don't even know.
$400 too, Apple Watch, which is not that bad.
It's super cheap.
Because Whoop, I guess at the end of the day, I mean, you're gonna pay
That's
over
how
the
long
course
you
of
use
a
it.
couple years. I mean, you're gonna be paying like $700.
Sure.
Which is a lot.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Absolutely. But I have Apple Watch 4. What are they at? 6, 7?
6, I think.
Yeah. So I don't know if my 4 can activate that. And now there's so many different.
Hardware. And
Yeah. Now there's so many different Apple Watches. There's like an SE.
Yes.
There's like an entry level one, and then a higher end one now.
phones.
Yeah. Exactly.
Variations.
So, why do you want the pulse ox?
I think it would be valuable because sleep quality.
Hmm?
If your if your pulse ox dips a lot, your oxygen levels dip a lot. That's like a precursor for like sleep apnea. So like your sleep quality and recovery is pretty dependent on the oxygen level in there.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. We don't necessarily need more data, so.
Not necessarily.
You know. I think we should probably keep these a little bit shorter.
For
So, any final thoughts you have on data? Anything that's, I guess you would add in there, whether it be simple stuff like, just weight or calorie counting. Obviously, we talked about anything simple you'd add in, or anything like more advanced that you would recommend people keep tabs on.
Yeah, I think it's really simple. What I would say is if you hate working out, focus on 1 or 2 things and get better at those 1 or 2 things. That way you're not overwhelmed and you can actually, if you're not working out a ton because you don't like it,
Yep.
then you're only gonna be able to increase certain things so much. If you are a fitness enthusiast and you love exercise and you pay for a fitness professional, you pay for a trainer, and you work out on your own, and then you eat healthy and watch what you eat and stuff, then I think the more data, just bring it all on.
Yeah.
But whatever's going to keep you most consistent in those 2 factors, because at the end of the day, we know that consistency will beat everything.
Facts.
If you're doing the worst exercise ever, like you're not doing a good job, you're doing low stuff,
Yep.
you're not burning a ton of calories. If you just do that over a long enough period of time, you're gonna reap some sort of benefit. You've said that a million times.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as you're not overwhelmed and you can stay consistent, then you're gonna be in a good situation to succeed.
Good situation to succeed.
I can't even say that with a straight face anymore.
Word. All right. Good work.
Done?
Done deal.
Cool.